Hello everyone, this is part 24 of my Hocus Pocus dollhouse videos. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos and some of the other things that I'll be working on in the future. To start this video, I am working on this little porch light. This is going to be a little lantern that hangs on the front, and I've already got this much of it made. Now all I've done is I've cut out some circles and done them a little bit different sizes, like the bottom's a little bit smaller just so it kind of goes up a little bigger at the top. And I've just cut the two circles and then just some little strips of the cardboard, and I've bent the ends of the cardboard to make that little shape. And then on this top one, you can see they're on the top. So they're on the top of the bottom and the top of the top. And then this is actually going to be the top to hang it with. So that's going to just glue right up here. And then I'll paint this. Now before I do all that though, I've put a little hole in it because I've got a little tiny light on a wire that's going to run through here and go down inside that hole. And then that will glue right over the top just to cap it all off. But even before I do that, I'm going to paint this, and it'll just be easier to paint it, I think, first. And then I'm going to put this, cut some little pieces of this clear plastic. Now I've sanded this corner over here because that's the part that I want to use. And you can sort of see how that looks versus the clear side. I just didn't really want to see the light bulb in there, so I just sanded it to make it look like a frosted glass or like dirty glass. So I'll have to cut those, but I think it'll be easier to paint it first. So now that I've got this much done, I'll get it painted. Now I'm going to paint that with Mod Podge and the brown acrylic paint, but I've got a little piece sticking up here. I'm going to glue this back down because I didn't get much glue under that, so I'll fix that and then paint it. And then I'll cut these little pieces to go in here. I kind of wished I could fit it in through the inside, and it might be easier to cut a strip. Let me see here. I was going to try to put individual little pieces in each little opening here, but it might be easier to do it like this instead of cutting squares and trying to glue them in. It might be better just to slide this in there and just round it out like a cylinder or a little tube, which I'll just have to make sure it can be rounded like this, and then get that in there. Whoops, I just flipped it across the room. Okay, I had to go get that. Now let me see. I'm hoping it will just go in there. I think I've got it cut a little crooked. I think one side's up a little bit higher than the other, so I'm going to have to cut this a little bit crooked too. And I sanded both sides of it so that it will be real frosty looking. And this is definitely going to take some work. But, well, it won't be too hard, I don't guess. I just got to get it rolled in. These two ends to roll in on their self. But I think that's going to look really cool. And here I'm taking all this time right now to try to get it put in here. And I really should just wait till I get it painted, but I just want to make sure it's going to work before, and if it don't, then I can be thinking of something else. But I think it's pretty much going to work. and that's going to be my little lantern. And this little circle for the top, this gold piece, this is all going to get painted brown to look like wood, but the little gold piece is just a top off of a Christmas ornament. So that's going to be my little lantern, and I think that looks so cool. So I can't wait. I'm going to get it painted real quick, and then I'll come back and pop that little part in there. Okay, so I've got this little thing painted, and for the top, I'm actually using my table from last week, but my top that I was showing, I actually punched a hole in the top of it so that the light can go straight down in it, because it's going to hang like this, and I want that light to go just like a real lantern would be, like an electric lantern. I want the wire to actually go through the top so it ain't sticking out the back or the side or anything. And the way I punched that hole in there, because this is like a hard little plastic, and the way I did that is I just heated up the tip of this ice pick and got that really hot, and then I just punched it right through that plastic top, and it just gave me that little hole that I needed. You could have probably drilled the hole, but I always, it's just quick and easy, and it just pushes right through. So I just done it that way, and so now I've got that to where I can wire that up a little bit better when I go to wire it up. And sometimes when you do use a drill bit can sometimes crack stuff. So I just like doing that heated up pick, because it just kind of melts it through instead of really messing with the plastic much, and it's just less likely to crack it or anything. Okay, so here is that little light that I've come up with. I've already got that painted, and I've got that little plastic rolled up in there. And then here's that little top that I'm going to glue on top. And I've put some wood glue on here to help hold it. And of course it dried clear, so you can't really tell it's on there, but it's there. And it's really bonded those two pieces together. And then here is my little string of lights. Now, one of y'all, this was a long string of those fairy lights, and now you can see it's only this long. Now it was probably like 3 feet long, or maybe 4 feet long, and someone said that you can cut it. Like if I just wanted one light at the end of this cord, I could go right past that one and cut it off. And I thought, well, this is an extra pack that I bought, so I'm just going to try that. And I wanted 3 lights on it, so I went out here to 3 lights and I cut it. And then when I try to turn it on, it works. And I thought that was so crazy that you can actually cut a string of lights and it still work. I mean, that just amazed me. So thanks for that little tip. So anyways, these 3 little lights, now 2 of them will do something else, but this one on the very end will go right through the top and then right into the lantern. And I'm going to turn off this little light, and there's kind of how that's going to look. Now that will look better once I get that painted and hung outside the house, and I think it looks really cool. I just can't wait to get it hung up, so that's what I'll work on right now. I've got to figure out where this is going to go, how this will run through to where I need it, and then get it glued together to where I can hang it up. Okay, so before I get too far, I've got this little piece of dowel rod coming through the door frame. The light will hang from this, And then I've already got my little string with the light coming through that same hole, and it's just going to bend down. It's going to come along that piece of dowel rod and hang straight down like this so that it can hang into the lantern. So I just wanted to show how that is, and I'll show a little bit more of how that cord is twisted up in the top of the door, and then it comes through out to here, and then I'm just going to slide that little thing on there and get it all put together, and then after I put it together I'll show it a little bit better. Okay, so I had these little chains up on the wall in Sarah's room, and I knew something was missing, and I just kept trying to figure out what was missing from these little chains. So I have made a little pair of handcuffs to put on the end of those, and I'll show you how I made those, and then I'll get these hung back up. But that looks so much better than just a plain little chain, because I was thinking about how you would tie people up, and I thought, well, you can't just do it with a chain, you gotta have some kind of a cuff. So the way I made those is I just cut a little piece of cardboard and I wrapped it around a glue stick, and then I just tacked it there with a little bit of tacky glue, and then I just cut that extra part off, and that's what gave me the little ring. And then I just screwed in a little, just one of those little screw-in hooks. I don't know what you call it, I guess like an eye hook. I don't know if you call them an eye hook or not, but I screwed that in there, and then I took my pliers, my little tiny pliers, and I just clipped off that little tip that went all the way through, and then just painted them black. So that looks really cool and just gives it even more detail. And then I have finished up this shelf. Whoops. The last time I showed this, I didn't paint the back, and it actually was bugging me, so I went ahead and just finished painting the back of that. And on this little shelf I've added one of those little goblets that's just from a Lego set, so I just need to age it up a little bit. But I like looking through my Lego parts, because some of those pieces are good for the scale that I'm doing. And then here are two little tables. Now, like last week, here's Sarah's little table that I did. And then I didn't show me making these, but they're actually still wet. I don't know if that paint looks shiny in places or not, but the paint is still wet. Well, the paint's not, but I went over it with like a little black water paint, and that kind of aged it, so that's still a little bit wet. But this one's pretty simple. It's just got a little shelf on the bottom. This one's for Winifred. It's got this little piece of paper rolled up, and what's funny is I was rolling up that piece of paper and I didn't even know it had words on it, and then it started to unroll a little bit and it showed those words, and I thought it was kind of cool, so I just kept them on there. And then it's got her little wand and her little comb, because you know she's got to tease that hair up, and then some scissors. And then this little table is for Mary. It's just got her wand, and I put the basket with the knitting supplies on her table, and I've just kind of aged it up, and I went kind of heavy on the aging. It looks kind of, it just all looks a little too dirty, but I think it's partly because it's wet. Hopefully when it dries it won't be quite as dirty looking. So that'll go by her little bed. And then we'll take a look at that light that I've been working on the front porch. And I was going to try to have the bench made. I was wanting to make a bench and one more chair, and that would have been all the furniture, but I ran out of supplies. Well, I didn't really run out. I just cut all my parts too short, and so that messed all that up. So now I'm going to have to go buy another piece of this to where I can cut them at the right sizes. So if I hadn't messed up those pieces, I could have had the bench and the other chair done today too. But I'll just have to do that in the next video. Okay, so back here is those little handcuff chains. And when I put that little screw-in hook on there, I did secure that. Hold on a minute. Okay, so what I was saying is I did secure those with a little daub of super glues just so they don't pull off. And as you can see, I could get a little closer, but I think it shows up okay. I just think that looks so much better. And I probably do need to age the chains a little more because they are a little shiny. Or even if I do, like I said, if I just change them all out eventually with a rusted chain, that'll be even better. But I really love how that looks. And then there's her little table. And then I just got to sit her bed back here. And that's pretty much for Sarah's room, but I need to think of something else. Maybe hang some of those dried herbs up here would look pretty good. Now for Winifred's room, I've got her little light on up here, and here's her bed. Now again, I do need to age the beds a little bit better. And under her bed is that little battery pack for the front porch lights. And of course you don't see that with the bed up here, but that was pretty clever, I guess, to put that under there. And then the rug kind of helps hide that. And then here's her little table sitting in place. I guess I like it over here. And then there's her little broom. And then one thing that I didn't really show, I've got a little line up here with some little rags hanging on it, because in the movie when she's looking out that window, you can see she's got either some little rags hanging here, or it might even be like a red curtain. In the movie it looks more like a red curtain hanging on a rod, but I just put a little line up here with these little red rags, and I'll show these a little bit better in pictures later. But they've been hanging there for a while and I keep forgetting to show them. And then over here in Mary's room, here's her little table. And then she's got that little chamber pot. And this little stool, I hung this up a while back because in the movie, when Thackeray Binks climbs through this window, there is a little wooden stool hanging up in this area. So I put that there. And it's black, and I may paint it brown to look more like wood later, but for now I'm just going to leave it black. And then there's Mary's little table, and I had her broom somewhere, but I'm not sure where I've laid her broom. It was sitting here. Now I've misplaced it. Oh, here it is. There's her little broom. I love having their little brooms sitting around. It just really makes it look more witchy, I guess. Oh yeah, and here's this little picture that I had painted. I was wanting to get a pack of Tic Tacs so that I could lay a Tic Tac on this, because actually this little frame is a little bit bigger than a Tic Tac, but the actual picture itself could probably fit on a Tic Tac, and I was just, I didn't get to get out and get a pack of those, but I'll show a side-by-side comparison of the size of this, because I just don't think a lot of people realize how tiny this little picture is. But I think that'll look good on Mary's little table. And I guess that's pretty much it. And I guess now we will check out that front porch light. Oh no, wait, there was one more thing. I gotta throw this up here so you can see the full thing. There's that little ladder that leads up to Sarah's room. Okay, so as soon as I turned the camera on, I thought, man, this looks so cool. I love how this all is starting to look. And then here is that little light that I hung here. And I don't know if it shows up real good. There's just a little piece of a barbecue stick sticking straight out that I super glued into that door frame, and then that little light just hangs off of that. Now, as you saw inside, the battery pack is under Winifred's bed, and it comes through the floor into this little alcove here, and they're going across the ceiling. I just kind of tacked them up there on the ceiling with hot glue, and then the very last end of that little string comes through into this little lantern. So that's where it ends, is right here. And I'm going to turn it on for you so you can see how that looks, but I'm actually going to turn this light off, and then let me get around here where I can get to the battery pack. There's my little porch light, and you can't actually tell that there are lights on the ceiling because they were so bright, and I didn't really want them to be that bright, and I just kind of went over those with a little bit of black paint so that they're not so bright. And you can tell it more in real life, but I just really wanted this one to stand out, so it's pretty bright, and it wouldn't hurt to tone this one down a little bit. But of course, the way it photographs, it has a real bright glare, and it just ain't that bright in real life. I guess it's just how my camera is filming it, but it just looks like a little, I think it looks really cool. And in real life, it's just got a little bit of a more warmer glow. It ain't quite as bright as it seems on camera. And I guess what I can't wait to do is to do like some really good photography of all this once it's done, like with my special lighting coming through the windows and the fog machine making some fog and stuff. So that'll be fun to play with this when I'm done with it. And also, let me see if I can turn the light back on. I don't know if it shows up, but I dry brushed a little tan color paint right here, and I love how that dry brush looks. So I'm going to go over all the trim. Anything where there's real dark trim, I'm going to dry brush it like I did here, because that just looks so much better, and it really brings out that wood texture. So I'll do that at some point. But there's my little light. I love how it's turned out. And I guess that's all for today's video. Next week, hopefully, I will work on that last little chair and the bench.